Justice for Christine Banfield, the au pair affair double murder trial today. After 9 hours of deliberations, a Virginia jury returned its verdict late this afternoon against accused double killer Brendan Banfield.
Jury on the issue joined in the case of the Commonwealth of Virginia versus Brendan Robert Banfield defendant find the defendant guilty of aggravated murder of Joseph Ryan and Christine Banfield as part of the same act or transaction. Count 4, guilty. Count 5, guilty.
Banfield showed little emotion as he heard that word guilty repeated over and over. The former IRS agent was convicted of all charges against him. The convictions are all in a twisted plot that led to the murders of Banfield's wife, Christine, and a stranger, Joseph Ryan, nearly 3 years ago. So Banfield could spend a future with the family's au pair, who he had fallen in love with. That's why prosecutors say he arranged for the murders. Prosecutors claimed late today that the verdict brought justice to the innocent victims.
My hope with this is that he realizes he didn't get away with it. And I know that sounds cliche, but I think through the evidence you can see a lot of things that he set up trying to get away with it, thinking that he was going to beat the system, trying to outsmart everybody. I hope he thinks that, and most of all, though, I hope he thinks about his wife and Joe and about what a heinous thing he did.
Banfield now faces life behind bars when sentenced in May. Joining us now, Jesse Weber, NewsNation's legal analyst and host of Jesse Weber Live. You're not surprised?
I'm not surprised. I don't think he was surprised. Obviously, he was hoping for...
He showed no emotion. I found that extraordinary.
Because I think the writing was on the wall. Look, at the end of the day, this was a case that was built on a crime scene where it looked like the evidence was, it was a staged murder, digital evidence, the testimony of the au pair. Now, look, there were parts where I say, why did the jury wait so long to deliberate? By the way, I think that's a good thing. You always want a jury to deliberate for a long time.
Take your time.
Take your time.
Yeah, man.
His DNA wasn't on the knife. He presented this kind of wild story of walking in, seeing his wife being attacked. At the same time, the prosecution's story of what happened was also equally wild.
No,
right? Setting up
the only thing wilder than the prosecution's theory is the defense's theory, which is that this pediatric ICU nurse was on fetish websites setting up sex with random men.
Yeah, and the evidence didn't help because the timeline of when Christine would have been accessing that didn't make sense. And by the way, his testimony was contradicted by, I arguably believe, the best witness so far for the prosecution was his supervisor. This IRS agent said what he just said about his timeline, that didn't happen.
Let's remind the audience. He tested Brendan Banfield. Banfield made the extraordinary decision that all lawyers say you should never do, which is took the stand in his own defense. And he said on the stand that I had to leave to go for this very important meeting. I wasn't at the home of the day of the murder because I was meeting with my boss. It was so important. It was about a raise.
Yeah.
And guess what? The boss then takes the stand and says, that's a complete lie.
Didn't happen that way. And even if that was the case, we would have had somebody else there. It didn't add up. And so much of it didn't add up. But I think in his mind, he probably felt, look, I'll try to be as straightforward with the jury as possible. They couple that with you saw the surveillance footage of him crying when he found out that Christine died. He was the only time he actually showed emotion was when they said Christine died and he was looking at that video. And so I think he was trying
in court. The only time he showed emotion was watching himself
crying. And I think he was trying to appeal that to the jurors. And maybe as each hour went by, he thought he might have one holdout, maybe a hung jury. At the end of the day, he was convicted and now faces life in prison.
The prosecutor said something that puzzled me in that press conference after the verdicts came in. He said this was all about blood evidence. What did he mean by that?
This very graphic, but basically they made the point that if you look at Joseph Ryan's body, there was...
Joseph Ryan is the man who was lured to the house.
Completely innocent in this, right? Basically lured to the house to make it look like he was attacking Christine, that they were having an affair, that you could tell there was fingerprint drawn lines of blood on his body, on his arms, his torso.
Showing somebody's smeared
Correct,
blood.
to make it look like it was a staged scene. And I think that was a compelling piece of evidence for the prosecution. And I think that's what they were trying to show, that there was only one possibility about what happened there.
No grounds for appeal?
They'll have grounds. They'll try. I don't think it'll be ultimately successful, but we shall see.
All right, Jesse Weber, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Tune in to see Jesse Weber live tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern, right here on NewsNation.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.